Welcome to Perspective Network, your host DJ CJ Muhammad of the TalkBack-TeachBack show. We have a beautiful show for you today. Right before I get to the show, I want to tell you a little bit about at the Perspective Network what we do. What we do is we allow young people and all the community to come into this platform and talk about all the different things that they're doing to change the face of our community. Tip, the platform here is housing a beautiful studio, and we want you to go to our website, www.perspectivenetwork.com, www.theperspectivenetwork.com. Go to the very bottom and put your information in, and we'll be back in touch with you because we want you all to come into this studio and have these great conversations like we're having today. Without any further delay, I know we late and we're so sorry, Facebook Live, but we had to have this show tonight. But I want to get right to our co-hosts, guest co-hosts. We have 3 guest co-hosts. Basim from Chicago. I have Sister Kenya and Brother Malachi from Indianapolis. I'm going to take it right over to them.
What's up, Indianapolis? It's your brother Basim Muhammad. And coming to you live from the Perspective Network Project Y.O.U TalkBack-TeachBack show. I'm so excited to be here. I'm here with 2 wonderful co-hosts. Our first and foremost, Sister Kenya.
Yes, it's me, Sister Kenya Muhammad. I'm so happy to be here representing Project Y.O.U Chicago. So happy to have you. We have our great brother.
My name is Brother Malachi Muhammad. I am 11 years old and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, but I live here in Indianapolis and I'm just so happy to be on the show today.
Okay, without wasting much time, let's get right to it. Today in the studio we have the wonderful, the powerhouse, the fireball.
One of the brightest, boldest brothers in the ministry doing it today. I mean, what can I say?
We have our brother, your brother, student minister Nuri Muhammad. Give him a round of applause.
How are you feeling today?
I'm fine, Sister Kenya. Happy to be on the air with you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. So our first main question was, why God and the people all over the world love Farrakhan and the nation? But we wanted to make it a little bit more personal for you. So why do you love Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam?
Well, you know, as the Christians say, that he's my personal Lord and Savior.
That's right.
You know, he is the instrument that the Supreme Being used to bring salvation to me. So, you know, as they said in the scripture, I once was blind, but now I see, lame, but now I walk, deaf now I hear, dumb now I speak. And whatever that I am, I owe it all to either the explanation that the minister has given or the example that he has laid before us. So he's the man that taught me everything that I know and the example of the man that I hope to one day become. So I love him.
Yes, sir.
For being that father, that teacher, that guide, that example, that is the best of all of those categories for me.
That's right. I'll be on this one.
Yes, ma'am.
Brother Nuri, my question is, why do you think that we should follow the minister?
Well, you know, one of the things that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad laid out, he laid out how Allah, the mathematical formula for how God raises messengers. And, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, guess what book it's in? The book of Malachi. Chapter 3, verse 6. It says that I am the Lord, I change it not. That means God always has a method or a pattern, and this pattern is consistent. Anytime you find in the history where people were in a mess, God always gives them a messenger to get them out the mess.
Yes, sir.
When there's problems, you find a prophet. When there's a crisis, then Christ is. When people are at war with themselves, then a warner comes from among that people. So we are a people that are in a crisis, in a mess, plenty problems, and we are at war with ourselves. So we are in need of a messenger, a warner, a prophet, and a Christ to be in our crisis. And we have found out that every time that there is a longing of the people for relief, then out of the love of God, he brings from that people a messenger or a warner. So whenever you see Farrakhan, you're seeing a man that wasn't certified, sanctioned, and degreed by the white man's schools. He was anointed and appointed for this critical and crucial hour to be the guide and example for us. So, when you're following somebody, the number one image in art for following is the footprints in the sand. That's the most popular image. And when you see footprints in the sand, you want to follow somebody that is going where you're trying to go or has gotten where you're trying to get. And when you look at the success level of the minister, the joy, the peace of mind, his obedience to the will of God, his love for his people, and his power that he exhibits all over the world, surely his footprints in the sand are worthy for us to stick our foot where he stuck his foot. And if we do that, whatever he is, we will be in what we're supposed to be. You won't be a Farrakhan national representative speaking from stages and rostrums, but you'll be the Farrakhan of engineering if you're born to be an engineer. You'll be the Farrakhan of chemistry if you're born to be a chemist. Whatever you're born to be, you should want to be a Farrakhan at it, because Farrakhan, in his name, it represents black excellence.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Nuri, knowing the role you play in the Nation of Islam, how have you aided and accepted the love of Farrakhan? Have you personally aided in giving the love for Farrakhan to the people?
Well, that is the goal in representing. The word represent, compound word prefix re, means again and present. Your goal as a representative is to present someone again. So I try my best to not be me, but I try to be him. And whenever I'm there, people always clap, applaud, praise, and say all the good that they might think that they're getting from me. But I always tell people, I'm not here to teach, I'm here to share. I'm not here to get you to become a student of mine, but I want you to pull your desk up next to my desk, and let's both listen to the same teacher. I got what I got from the teacher, you get the same. So that's the way we try to do it. It's, every time the praise, compliments, accolades come my way, I always, try to pull a matrix move down, No, that all praise is due to Allah. No, the minister taught me that. Right. So that is what I do. And if you listen to the way that I teach, it's more of a witness bearing than it is an instructional education. And in doing so, you always hear me say, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us, or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has caused me to see and understand such and such and so and so. So every time you hear that, your mind should be, man, if I like anything he said, I'm going to love what the minister has to say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the minister's the one taught him.
Right,
Yes, sir.
So now I don't want to follow him. I want to pull my desk up next to his, and let's follow that man he followed together.
Okay, so let's get down to it.
All right. Yes,
What
ma'am.
is your message to the haters out there who say that they don't love or support Farrakhan?
Well, that unfortunately, we do have a high degree of plantation psychosis, post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes, sir.
We still are plagued with the Willie Lynch curse. And I call it, you sum it all up, you can wrap up all those psychological conditions as negativity. I mean, negativity.
Yes, sir.
Now, negative is a special type of negative only black people know how to do to one another. So if, there's a song that says, if you don't know me by now, you will never, ever, ever know me. And if the minister has laid a legacy of 62 years of soldiering, service, and scholarship, and you by now don't love him, then something's wrong with your mathematics.
That's right.
So that's, the way that we have to operate, those that do love him, is we have to always judge our people on the curve. And remember that we were robbed of our name, culture, religion, moral ways, folkways, norms, and God, that we were hit in the head and left for dead, that we are people that really have Stockholm syndrome or battered wife syndrome. We in a relationship with white people. We become almost like the watchdog that was bought from the pet store. In fact, if you study the way that a person buys a pet dog from the pet store and you look at slavery, it's almost the exact same process. You buy it, you give it your name, you train it, domesticate it, where it fits into your environment the way you want it to fit. And that dog will bark at everybody. Even the one that ain't even any enemy of the master. So whenever you're dealing with our people, we have that Stockholm syndrome. We have that plantation psychosis. We still have that battered wife syndrome. We still got that master we said mentality. So our people that don't love the minister, they think that they're betraying their master by loving a freedom fighter. So it's subliminal and it's subconscious and it's deep. So to those that are haters, you be wise to become a lover of a man that God raised to save us, because he represents in his personage the blueprint for our salvation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Wow. My next question is, do you think that the minister has an impact on black people, and why or why not?
Well, if you look at everybody that is in any field that's any significant, they are plugged somehow, some way to the minister. I don't care who they are. I don't care whether they're a rapper, singer, real estate, entrepreneur, producer. Ask them what lectures do they listen to. It's Farrakhan. I've never met nowhere in the world a black person that is manifesting black excellence on any level in any field that does not have a high respect and regard for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Sir.
All of them, including the reverends and the preachers. The preachers know that the things that they say that have the greatest effect in their church is the stuff they got off of YouTube from hearing from the minister.
Yes, sir.
And they went to church and said, the Lord revealed to me last night. Yeah, the Lord in the person of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So you'll find that most of our people, they won't tell you because they like to rob the minister of his intellectual property.
That's right.
Yes.
They like to say what he said like it came from themselves. And act like they come to this conclusion on their own, but they got it by being a secret student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We got a whole lot of Nicodemuses. Nicodemus was a man that used to sneak to Jesus at nighttime, but then go back and be with the senators and the Pharisees and Sadducees in the daytime and act like he was with them. But he loved Jesus, wanted to learn from Jesus. We got a whole lot, almost every celebrity and every entertainer that's in any significance, of any respect, has any power. All of them are Nicodemus, sneaking at night, trying to learn from the minister. And then, you know, when they get back in the daytime around white people, they try to act like they don't know where they got what they got from.
Brother Nuri, I have a question. It was raised on Facebook a little earlier before the show. Someone had asked, how do we break up symbol without substance? A lot of times there's leaders that in their later years that are becoming more influential and more revolutionary, but yet when they pass away, they are relegated to just a little quote. So how do we bring the substance without just a symbol of just a symbol of just being a leader?
Well, we have to see, the thing is we have to control our own narrative. The reason why Malcolm X is by any means necessary, and that's it, and Martin Luther King is I had a dream, and that's it, is because white people control the narrative of what we're going to learn about those that went before us.
That's right.
So we have to tell our own story.
Yes, sir.
There's an African proverb that says that that if the lion tells the story, it will always be in favor of the hunter and never for the hunted. So whenever we are the oppressed, but yet we are getting information from our oppressor, it's always going to be a watered down, modified, stepped on, bought some B12, isotol, and baking soda, and King James version of our. So number one, we have to control our own narrative. Number two, we have to always study the principles that each leader lived by, and what were their goals and their objectives, what was their mission. And if we really say we love those leaders, then when the person is gone, the principles that made us love them still are alive.
Right.
So let's live the principles and remind people, I got this from Marcus Garvey. I got this from Dr. Martin Luther King. And the mission of the UNIA was, and the mission of Crow was, the mission of SNCC was, the mission of the Panther Party was, and I'm doing this in that same way because I got that from Huey P. or from H. Rap Brown or from Frederick Douglass. And we keep their name alive by manifesting the principles and giving them credit for it and controlling the narrative to make sure our people know the real, unedited, non-watered down, true history of the great ones that went before us. Because right now, they have Dr. King, they don't talk nothing about Dr. King's last 3 years. The only Dr. King we don't know 65 to 68. We know 65 back. Why? Because when you start from 65 after he met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, see, he went from being a dreaming integrationist to being a wide awake revolutionary.
Right, sir.
But they don't talk about the redistribute the pain. They don't talk about the economic boycott. They don't talk about him telling everybody, black people, take all your money out of white banks and find a black bank to put it in.
Yes, sir.
They don't mention those revolutionary gestures of Dr. King. They keep him isolated to little black boys and little white girls holding hands and I had a dream. And that's it. So it's our job to tell our own story. You know, and if we control the narrative, unpack when the person's gone, the principles, live those principles, and give them credit for them, remember them while we live in them, then we won't be a victim of a symbol.
Yes, sir.
Without substance. We'll have the substance.
Yes, sir.
And also not be afraid to live in the footsteps of those before us. Because fear is what holds the black people in general back from prospering.
That's right.
So that's
number
what I was
one.
saying.
That's right, Sister King. Number one is fear. But that's the enemy.
Right.
See, if you study black history is always from the cotton field to the current, from the plantation to the present. You never learned about black people before slavery.
That's right.
Because if all you know about is black people from slavery up until now, slavery, we lived in mud huts. In slavery, we worked from Casey morning to Casey night for free. In slavery, we wore burlap as clothes. So the minute that we look from then to now and see, man, I got me a 2-bedroom apartment now. Man, I ain't in no burlap no more. I got 2 bootleg Gucci sweatsuits. You know, I ain't working from Casey morning to Casey night for free. I make $7.45 an hour now. Wow. Next thing you know, we start talking about I started from the bottom. Now we here. No, the real truth is we started from the top.
Yes, sir.
But now we way down here with a whole lot of way to go. So that mathematics.
Yes, sir.
And what happens, Sister Kenya, is that once we are taught our history from the plantation to the present, cotton field to the current, the only thing we learn about is slaves and or black leaders, and each black leader either was assassinated or their movement was broken. So what does that say to the psychology of the young generation coming up? Man, if I get involved in fighting for my people, I'm going to be poor, broke, hungry, naked, out of doors. They're going to kill me one day, and if they don't kill me, they're going to kill my movement anyway, so it'll be like a waste of time for me to even be a freedom fighter.
Right.
Yes.
And that's how they get the fear to come up in us.
You made a point that we talked about on our trip here all the way from Chicago, back at home. And I wanted to ask you about the universal impact of the minister, because a lot of times our young people, when they come in contact with people that are not in the Nation of Islam or not registered members, they get caught up. And people want to talk about, oh, that, of course you're going to say that. Even tonight's show, people may say, well, of course you're going to say you love Farrakhan. So can you kind of deal with that? I know they have a whole lot of questions. So they're being real polite. We explained to them that and this show is not rude to try to get some of those questions in based on how you're answering them. But can you talk about that? Because that's really what our young population needs to know. That this is not Muslim teaching. This is God teaching.
See, you think the Million Man March was 1995.
Yes, sir.
22 years ago. So anybody that is 22 and under was not alive when the greatest gathering and largest gathering in the American history was produced by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So if you're 27, you was only 5.
Right.
So most of the younger generation have been a victim of what we call the conspiracy of silence. See, there's a conspiracy of silence where they try to ignore the minister and act like he doesn't exist.
Right.
So they don't talk about it. He doesn't get news coverage no more. They already tried that avenue. They put him on CNN, they put him on C-SPAN, they put him on ABC, NBC, The Night Show. They debated with him from 84 all the way up into the early 90s, and he smashed the best of them.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So they realized, well, wait a minute, this ain't no normal Negro right here. And all of the things we're doing to him is making him more popular among his own people. We attack him, we call him a bigot, we call him a racist, we call him a homophobic, we call him a hate teacher. We do all this and look at what his people still love. So now there's a conspiracy of silence. So the only reason why we even have to have a show like this is because all of the power moves that the minister is making on behalf of the resurrection and rise of not the Nation of Islam, little bitty Muslim group, but the big Nation of Islam, all of the original people. They ignore that. And they are involved in a conspiracy of silence where they're working together to act like it's not happening and it doesn't exist. So we have to have our own platform, so we have one. So what Brother Clifton is doing with the TalkBack-TeachBack show, he's allowing us a platform where we can control the narrative. Because we're not going to let you get away with it.
That's right.
Not allowing the young soldiers that are coming up from knowing the most prominent black man that has existed in the United States of America other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You're going to know about that man. So the world loves the minister.
That's right.
All over the world, he's loved. And I have seen where, and I've been present with him, where kings, rulers, presidents, people in high positions around the world call the minister and ask him for advice. And the minister, he's not on the phone talking to them like they're so great. They're calling him as humble students, looking for divine counsel on how they can navigate their nation in foreign policy or domestic policy. And the minister gives that kind of counsel to leaders all over the world. So it's a scripture in the Bible said that a prophet goes not without honor, except in his own home. And unfortunately, that has been the pattern. Number one, when a person is from somewhere and he's a divine man, people have seen him grow, so they don't relate to him in the way that the world sees him.
Yes, sir.
Number two, as a people, we have a bad legacy of running our leaders' names through the streets while they are alive, and then naming the street after them after they're dead.
Right.
So we don't honor ours until they're gone. So when Malcolm X wasn't loved and respected when he was walking,
That's right.
Dr. King wasn't loved and respected when he was walking. None of these great ones that everybody has stamps and pictures and t-shirts and doing libations for this weekend for the Kwanzaa. Wasn't nobody libationing them whenever they was alive.
Right.
There wasn't no respect for them while they were alive. We wait till they're dead and gone. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we must give our flowers to our loved ones and our living ones while they live. So that's what we're doing.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, that's the purpose. But all over the world, the minister is the man
Yes, sir.
that everybody leans on for wise counsel and advice, and rightfully so.
Yes, sir. Brother Nuri, moving on to the next question. What has the ministry actually done to reach out and actually gain the love and attention of the people?
Well, you know, one of the things that you'll notice about black leadership in general is you'll find black leaders and teachers that are really good at speaking power to the powerful. Meaning they know how to critique leadership, they know how to challenge what government is doing, injustices. Or you'll find another kind of leader that doesn't challenge the powers that be, but they know how to speak power to the powerless.
Yes, sir.
Meaning that they know how to teach and educate, inspire and empower people to make positive change in their life. What separates the minister, in my humble opinion, is he's the first black man on the scene that doesn't just speak power to the powerful, but gives power to the powerless at the same time.
Right.
So because of the synergism of his bold, courageous stand to challenge evil on its highest level in an uncompromising way, in an intelligent way, with a divine perspective, you got to love him for that.
That's right.
Because he's a fearless black man.
Yes, sir.
But then because of his love for his people, he knows how to teach. Show me another Negro leader that taught how to give birth to a God.
There's nobody.
Show me any leader that has come up that has taught the science of life like the minister has taught. So he's one that gives power to the powerless by being the great educator and teacher. But he's also that bold, uncompromising voice for justice because he speaks power to the powerful. So that synergism is what separates him from the rest. And I believe that when you listen to people, when you ask them why, so man, that's far. He don't bite his tongue. He ain't scared. And that's why young people still love the minister.
That's right.
Getting ready to be 85 years young, but if we were to compare him to anybody else, all the young people say, I'm going with him. You know why? Because the language of young people is the language of a soldier.
Right.
Right, sir.
The language of old people is the language of security. Old people want to know, do I have enough saved? Do I have enough put up? Is everything going to be all right for a rainy day? And they move real timid and weak. But whenever you're young, because you feel like you got years in front of you, your mind operates as a sacrificial soldier.
Right.
So young people's language is soldier, and when you listen to the minister, that's a soldier.
Right.
Yes, sir.
We hear general,
Yes, sir.
commander of the faith. That's what I'm listening to.
Right.
So I think that's, those two ingredients is what make the love so deep.
Yes, sir. And actually, as a testimony, when I bring my non-Muslim friends to the mosque, they actually are really intrigued about what the minister is speaking about based on the fact that he is so fearless and actually is saying what he wants to say and says it how he wants to say it.
That's right.
They feel the reflection of them seeing him. So another question, speaking on behalf of youth, what can we do to truly demonstrate our love and gratitude for the minister furthering his unmatched work serving humanity?
Well, that's the question of the questions.
Yes, sir.
In the Holy Quran, the word love is only mentioned 47 times. But there's another word that is mentioned that is really the definition of love in action. 190 times, duty. So if you look at Jesus as they were asking them similar questions to him, number one, he said, lovest thou me, Peter? Feed my sheep. So number one way we can show we love the minister is we have to give our lives for what he's given his life for, which is the raising of our people. Feed the sheep. So you gotta keep teaching your people everything they need to know. Then the second thing that Jesus said unto his disciples, he said, if you love me, then love you one another. So the strengthening of brotherhood and sisterhood, the building of camaraderie among those that believe, and the going out to teach wisdom to our suffering people. Those are the two methodologies or the two duties that we can engage in to prove that we love the minister in verb form as an action word versus saying I love you as words. So it's duty. Duty to the people, and then duty to make the brotherhood and the sisterhood tight.
Yes.
Our people need it. That's all our people need. We, before we were kidnapped and Caucasianized and Westernized and Christianized by the white man, we used to have certain axioms that used to govern us. One of them was it takes a village to raise a child. Well, the science of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, by the fact that you're Sister Kenya, I'm Brother Nuri, you're Brother Basim, your brother Malachi. We're brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
See, once we identify each other as brothers and sisters, if I'm your brother and you're my sister, then your daughter is my niece, and my son is your nephew. So now we're a family.
That's right.
Big happy.
So now once we become a family, there is no gossip, backbite.
Right.
There is no letting you fall, or letting your son fall, or letting my cousin fall, because that's my cousin, that's my auntie, that's my uncle, that's my niece, that's my nephew. And when we think family like that, then the village concept returns, and we'll be able to, raise our community up.
Brother Nuri, we have a live question on Facebook Live right now.
Facebook Live.
We got one of our representatives in the audience handling our Facebook Live questions. Sister, go ahead and just go ahead and recite what that question is.
Okay. We have Brother Brandon. He says, when we as parents have not produced the best results in our homes and lives, but we claim and believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the best example, how do we get our children to see that he is still the only option for success in life today?
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunately, children don't do what you say. Children do what you do. So, and that don't mean that that's always going to be the case. So to Brother Brandon, all we have to offer to anybody, I don't care whether you're a mother, father, or you're young, old, all you have to offer is your example.
That's right.
And your explanation. That's it. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this to us as FOI, the brothers in the nation. He said that when you take the final call newspaper to your people, if they don't buy the paper, he said they're not rejecting the paper. They're rejecting you. He said the people want the truth. So if you get a no, that was a rejection of you, not a rejection of the truth. So what that means is that if the people aren't rejecting the truth, but they're rejecting us, the question is, are our children rejecting us, or are they rejecting the truth?
Right.
Our children aren't rejecting the truth, they're rejecting us. So our job, when we see that mathematics, is not to say, okay, look, I'm imperfect, I ain't doing a good job as your mother, your father, but look, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's who y'all need to be looking to, the minister y'all need to be looking to, because at the end of the day, they want to know that you are an example of the benefit of following this man.
Yes, sir.
And if he's promising luxury, money, good homes, friendships in all walks of life, peace and contentment of mind, harmony and balance, and I don't see none of that inside of my house, why should I believe that I should follow the one you're telling me to follow when you say you follow me and you don't have none of that stuff that you want me to go get?
Exactly.
So the math is, Brother Brandon, that we have to say, man, that my children are rejecting the truth, they're rejecting me. Is there anything I can do to explain this better? And more importantly, is there anything I can do to set a better example?
Yes, sir. Yes,
That I can show it better.
Right.
That I might be able to be the magnetic personality that I need to be to win them over to being a believer in the one that I believe in. Hope that helps you out, Brother Brandon.
My question is,
Yes, sir, Brother Malachi.
how can we guide the children to be leaders? That would be.
That's a good question. See, the role and responsibility of every generation is really to produce a generation that takes the people and the cause to another level higher than the one of the previous generation.
Right.
So the 4 basic instructions that was given to man in the Bible was be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. To be fruitful and multiply sound alike, but they're two different concepts. One's spiritual, one's physical. Multiply means reproduce, make more children. But fruitful means not bringing two bodies together to produce another body, but bringing minds together. 6 or 8 like minds, brothers and sisters, husbands, wives. I got an idea. I want to start a grocery store. I need to find 5 other people that have the same thing. Now, when you put those minds together and you begin marrying the best idea with that best idea with that best idea, and you mix it together and you put time, talent, and treasure, mind, money, and muscle of all 6 of them together, now you have become fruitful. But replenish, the word replenish means to replace with something better. So every job of every generation is really to produce another generation that replaces the population of the planet with a whole group of people better than the ones that currently inhabit the earth. That's our job. So to do that, we have to give assignments of leadership to younger people at a younger age than we took them on. The only reason that I'm here right now is because the minister believed in me enough as a very young person to put me in a position of responsibility. I became the minister here when I was 20 years old. And I'm only 22 right now. I feel like it. But my point is that they've done studies, Brother Malachi, Brother Basim, Sister King, and all the brothers and sisters here. They've done studies on great people, whether it was kings, warriors, great business people in the modern, and they've come up with what they call the 10,000 hour rule. And what they say it takes 10,000 hours of commitment to a specific craft to become so proficient that you were able to call yourself a master of it. So now if it takes 10,000 hours, and what the math says is that if you put 2 hours a day in for 5 to 7 days a week, it's going to take you about 10 years for you to become really proficient that you can call yourself a master of the craft. Well, what good would it be if it takes that long to become that great, to become a leader? Why should I wait until you're 35 to get you started?
Right.
It don't say it takes 10,000 hours from 35 to 45. It's 10,000 hours. So let me start you at 10.
Right.
See? And if in 7 years I start you at 10 in becoming a leader, you're 11 now, I'll start you now. Now from 11 on up, by the time you're 18, you're already a master of leadership. So in Africa, King Tut, a lot of people don't know this, but Egypt was then more powerful than America is now. And do you know King Tut became the king of Egypt when he was 7 years old? But he did not assume the role and responsibility of governance until he was 14. 10,000 hours. So they put him on a 10,000 hour regimen to qualify him for leadership. So by the time he was 14, he was able to defeat the Goths, the Visigoths, the nomads, the Vikings, the Anglo-Saxons. He was running trade, commerce, general in the army, because he started real young. So the goal, the job of you all is don't wait till you get too old to do wrong to get right.
That's right.
If that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
You know, now you don't have no temptation no more. Now you want to wait. Now you want to get, gray hair, you falling apart. Now, okay, let me go ahead and start trying to get it together. Start early. Start now.
My parents, they try to push me to be good at inventing because that's what I like to do.
That's
and
right.
so they try to push me to do it at a young age and not when I'm older. And yeah.
But and it takes a sacrifice.
It does.
See, to be a leader, you can't follow what's popular. You got to go against the grain.
That's right.
See, if you end up following the masses, most of the time the M is silent. Y'all didn't catch that. I said if you follow the masses, most of the time the M is silent. You end up following the asses. and you end up being, you understand what I'm trying to say. So the point
Brother
is,
Nuri, can you say it again? I'm sorry, bro.
I said to be a leader, you can't do what's popular.
Yes, sir.
Because when you start following the masses, most of the time the M is silent.
Yes.
You're not following the masses, you're following a group of asses. And that's gonna put you into a situation. So you got to do, sometime when other people's play, you got to read.
And being a minister recently had a really sentimental moment when he told me that I was a born leader.
Look at that.
And to hold that on my shoulders and know that I have a duty. I found my purpose. I have to find it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get what you mean about going against the grain. And it's hard to not be accepted. That's what I would say to the youth. We want to be accepted, especially by each other. We never want to be the one singled out because we're weird or we're a nerd. But what I learned and what sat on my mental was that being a leader takes being bold, being brave, and that's exactly what I get from the minister every day. Trying to follow his footsteps and standing on truth and willing to die for it.
Right.
Right.
Being young, we're afraid of death. Most of us are afraid of death. But I would have to say is I've been really trying to study death and know that I'm returning back to my Lord. I'm returning back to Allah. He gave me a mission. I'll complete my mission, and I'm back with Him. You know what I mean? And most people have to understand that.
That's a good place to make a little change because those who are on the stage right now as our co-hosts, they're on a mission. They were courageous. But in our awesome powerhouse studio audience, we have some awesome grace and they have some questions. So we're going to start right here. I'm going to pass the mic because she's going to let you know who she is.
My name is Nasira. I'm from Chicago. My question is, how does the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and his words make you confident in yourself and your life?
That's a very good question because as my sister Kenya was saying, we all struggle with identity, self-worth, and the pressures of what other people are going to think about you. One of the things that I've learned is that over time, self-assurance, self-confidence comes when the voice of God within you is louder than all of the voices of everybody else outside of you.
Yes, sir.
When you don't care nothing about what everybody else says, long as that you feel that you are in congruency with what the God in you has said, then you're okay. So I made a statement to the minister one day. He was giving me some compliments, and I said, thank you, brother minister, for believing in me more so than I believe in myself. And he said, well, son, look, he said, it's not important that you believe in yourself in that sense. He said, what's important is that you believe in Him. And if you believe in Him and not necessarily yourself, you're going to try to be like Him.
Right.
And the more you become like Him, the more you will begin to believe in yourself, because you're not believing in yourself, you're believing in the God in you.
Yes.
So the mathematics that really gives you real self-worth and self-confidence is not what you look at and what I like what I see in the mirror and all that's fine. But the real mathematics is whenever you know that your behavior is congruent with what you know the God in you is telling you you're supposed to be.
Awesome.
And when you do that, you're in good shape.
Awesome. We want to try to get some of our brothers in too. I'm going to pass the mic to you. I know you got a question.
My name is Brother Khalifa. I'm a student at the University of Illinois.
Yes, sir.
And being in college, you see and experience so many different things. So I wanted to hear your perspective on how you see on your travels, on behalf of the minister, how the words of the nation and how love is duty in the different schools that you see, and in the students and how they feel in relation to what's going on in the world.
Well, that's, one of the most unfortunate things that we have seen in a lot of the schools is that most of us, we're going to school for social reasons. That's why we picked the school we wanted to go to. Because we heard about, it wasn't because they specialize in the engineering program. They specialize in the party program. And what ends up happening is that a lot of times people are more interested in playing than learning. But there's always a small group of people. I was just, what school is it that you're in?
University of Illinois.
University. I was just at Northern Illinois University a few weeks ago. But I hope she might listen to this. Let me see how. Well, the Black Student Union, they were so hurt because of how much work they put in for a program, and the response wasn't there like they wanted. And they did everything they could do, free food, free this, and they still didn't get, it ended up packing out, but they were concerned. And when you're on the campuses, you know, you already know that the enemy has dropped a bomb on young generation in general, but on colleges in specific. WMD, weapons of mass distraction. Did you guess that? Weapons of mass distraction. So a lot of times the young are not as focused as they should be. And it's not a time to be all socialized. It's time to get educated because you're spending money. You invest in time, you want to come back and be able to build a nation with it. But as a general rule, there's always small pockets of young soldiers that are activated in the college years to want to become freedom fighters for their people. Thank you, sir.
Can you pass the mic to the next person that has a question? Make sure you speak loud.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I know that you're not born in the Nation of Islam, so around the time when you first started hearing about the ministers, what inspired you to want to learn more and ultimately join the Nation of Islam?
Man, I felt so dumb. I couldn't believe that no mama didn't tell me about this. I'm like, I never had no, you didn't see a bean pie, a paper, nothing? How did this stuff, how was this in the world and nobody ever told me this? So that's what happened to me, is that I was 16 years old when I first was introduced to the teachings, and I had never read a book in my life except for the autobiography of Magic Johnson in the 3rd grade. And it was this thin. It was one of them little bitty ones. And I just kept doing reports on it every year, and as my vocabulary got bigger, the report got longer. It was on the same little 38-page book. But when I came to the Nation, I felt so far behind on knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I studied a lot. So I used to study probably 8 to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week while I was in school. I never hardly slept. I'll always be studying, always studying. So they end up, you know, slapping me on the rostrum. I didn't want to do it. And they asked me to speak, and I said, I'm not feeling good. And I was feeling just fine until they asked me. But then they put me on the rostrum, and I was 17. I only been in the mosque for 3 months, and everybody was just clapping and cheering and standing up. I was like, man, what is wrong with these people? I was like, oh, they know, they treat me, I'm young, they just trying to be encouraging. I did it, I ain't never doing it again. 3 days later, I did a whole lecture. And while I was speaking, I heard a voice in my head that said, this is what you're born to do. So ever since then, I've been committed my life to studying and to trying to teach the people. But that's how I came in. That's what happened to me. And before I came in, I was in the streets, meddling like most people do. And I was making a whole lot of money. But I wanted to get the same feeling from knowledge that I was getting from acquisition of wealth. So I studied like I had a divine grind for wisdom, like I was grinding for money. And thus, you know, it ended up getting me into what I was born to do. And so far, so good. Labor of love.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sister Naya.
Yes, ma'am.
And when our people hear the minister, you know, the word touches them. And as registered believers, we go out into the community to bring our people back in and teach them the knowledge of self. And my question is, other than going out into the community, what other ways can we bring our people in?
Well, everything we do is marketing Islam. Everything we do. So your appearance, your attitude, the way you carry yourself, the way you handle people, everything that you do. The difference between us in the nation versus people in other faiths is that when other people in other faiths do individually things wrong, they're judged as an individual who did something wrong. So if somebody from the church, we see them at the club, you know what they say? Man, I seen little Johnny at the club, man. But if they see one of us at the club, man, I couldn't believe it, man. The Muslims be at the club and everything. all of us at the club. So the bad side is that everything we do as an individual in this cause, because we are marketed in every way, we all get blamed for it. Positive side of it is that all the good we do, we all get the pats on the back, the reward, the accolades for it. So other than knocking on doors and other than inviting our people, it's the way that you handle yourself, the way you treat other people. And you'll find that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you are saying the right thing, but you don't have the right attitude, and you don't carry yourself in an honorable, noble way, then they don't want to hear what you have to say. So, keep on, you marketing it by the way you live life. Example, the Supreme Wisdom Lesson says this, that the student should be able to cover, show, and prove that the lessons that Allah gave to us are the fulfillment of all of the prophecies of both Bible and Holy Quran. Look what it says, in a word. But then in number 11 of Lost Found Lesson number 1, it says, have you not learned that your word is bond and bond is life? So if word is bond, bond is life, and is in mathematics is an equal sign. Word equals bond, bond equals life. So word and life are the same thing. So the real way that we prove that what the lessons are the fulfillment of all the prophecies of the Bible and Holy Quran is not with what we say, but with the way we live.
That's right.
So your life is the great testimony that there's no God but Allah. Muhammad is his message.
Brother Nuri, we know the time is winding down. We know you have another appointment. But we want to get to one more question in the audience, and maybe one more from Facebook. Facebook's been lighting up with questions. So, Brother Tony, you have a question, right?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go all the way to almost to 8.
Almost to 8. Okay.
Beautiful. The other ones I can call in on it. It doesn't start till 8 o'clock.
Okay. Or you can have your show here if you like too. So.
Okay. Thank you.
However you want to do it, and we can improvise. Okay,
Brother Tony. Looking at me with that squint like, oh, here you go again.
How's it going, brother?
Brother Tony, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too, sir. Some people misunderstand and misunderstood Farrakhan. Farrakhan is but a sign. In his work and duty, what is it that Farrakhan is pointing to as that sign?
Well, I would say that in the sense of that, he's a sign of, he's the best version of ourselves. When you see the minister, Allah raises him up to show us that if we do it right, we can do it right and still be successful. But to be honest, all of those that came before the minister were really a sign of him. That's why if you as Brother Clifton was talking about when the leaders die, symbol without substance, but if you can move personality out the way and look at the principles, everything that you like about the great ones of the past is manifest inside of one man called the minister. The eloquence of Dr. Martin Luther King is in Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
The courageousness of Harriet Tubman to free her people, that's in Farrakhan. The intelligence of Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois, it's in Farrakhan.
That's right.
The liberation theology that Moses taught in Farrakhan. The ministry of love that Jesus manifests in Farrakhan. The way Muhammad was able to get people off of alcohol and break them from vices and cause them to become respecters of women and rearers of the children. Farrakhan is that too. Right. So when it's all done and said, there's a verse in the Bible that says it like this, that the last one comes in the volume of the book. Meaning that the last one comes, and when you study that one, you'll see all the ones that went before him in the different chapters, all inside that one man. So when you see the minister, he is like a synthesized version of all the great ones of the past, all wrapped up in one human being, in the person of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's why the conspiracy of silence is so aggressive. Because they know that if we go to school and we learn about Frederick Douglass or W.E.B. Du Bois, or we go to Sunday school and learn about Job or Moses or Lot or Solomon, and then we start seeing a man walking among us that is them in one form, see, you become a hypocrite to history. If you say that if I'd have been back there during the time of Harriet Tubman, she'd have been with her shotgun, but I would have had my 38. If I'd have been back during the time of Malcolm, he'd have been on one side with his rifle, and I'd have been on the other side of the window with my Desert Eagle. We say that we would have been the 13th disciple. If we'd have been with Jesus, if it was Moses, I would have been Moses. I would have been Moses, Aaron, Joshua, Caleb, and me. That's what we all say. But when you got a man among you, that not is a sign of them, but they were a sign of him. When you got a man that's all of them wrapped up in one flesh, then our job is to say, man, if I really would have been with Moses, Aaron, and Joshua, I see all of them in this man right here. Let me follow up. So, you know, he's a sign in the sense that he is the maximum expression of self, of us.
We have Sister Kiana. She said, Brother Nuri, can you please speak to the point of the youth being of the Joshua generation, and that even though they look out of control, they are cut from a strong, fearless, resilient cloth?
Well, that was the answer to the question. But the, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said you cannot be of the Joshua generation if you're not connected to Moses. So to be a certain age doesn't make you of the Joshua generation.
Yes, sir.
It's to be of a certain mentality.
Yes, sir.
So if you're not trying to carry out the mission of the Moses and the Aaron that's in your midst, then you can't claim I'm Joshua generation. No, you're not Joshua generation. You're a different generation. It's just the age of the Joshua generation.
Yes, sir.
So the minister has said this to us. He said that this is the best generation we've ever produced since slavery, because you're the most fearless. And at the end of the day, as Sister Kenya said earlier, the messenger said it in Message to the Black Man. He said fear is the #1 enemy, stopping our people's rise and salvation. He said it's fear of the white man and fear of whatever the slave master dislikes that has us handicapped. So whenever that is the #1 enemy that has held us back, and you got a generation born without that impediment, then now you have, see courage is really the great multiplier of all gifts, skills, and talents. Maya Angelou said it like this, that out of all the traits that you could ever have, courage is the most important, because it is the supplement to all the other ones. Say, what good is it for you to have knowledge if you're too scared to teach it? Yeah, what good is it for you to have power if you're too afraid to use it? If you have money but you're too afraid to invest it or to build a business with it, then you have it but you don't have the courage to go with it. So what you all are blessed with is you are born with the inherited preparation. It's in your DNA to be a dragon slayer, to be a giant killer. That it's in your DNA.
That's right.
So the big thing now that you have to do is say, you know what, how do I really prepare to swing this sword, to slay this dragon? How can I be this giant killer that I'm born to be? Because it ain't time to kill the giant right now. I can't slay this dragon, but I want to. But if you take the word sword and move the S to the end,
Break down.
sword becomes words. You have to use words or teachings now to kill the dragon in you, to kill that giant inside of you. And if you can kill the devil in here, then the devil out there will be nothing for you to take out. So that's what makes them so special. And I want to say this too. This is just a hadith that I learned from Prophet Muhammad. He said that those that commit the prime of their life to the service of Allah. Now, prime of your life is in the time between your teenage years up until 40 or 50 years old. That's considered the prime of your life. Those who commit the prime of their life to the service of Allah, Prophet Muhammad said, they are not on the level of a regular human being, but they have the rank of angels. So when you make your mind up, the younger you make your mind up, that whatever you're gonna be a righteous version of it, and you're gonna be a savior teacher. You're gonna be a savior inventor, a savior engineer. I'm gonna be a savior chemist, a savior business, but savior's always in there.
Right.
When you make your mind up that you're gonna do that, you have committed the prime of your life to the service of Allah. And by doing so, you're not on the level of a regular human being, you have the rank of angels. Do you know that angels don't get no judgment from God? You didn't hear that.
Wow.
Angels can't do wrong.
Wow. I need that.
They don't even operate off of nothing but divine instinct.
That's right.
Even the stuff that they do that don't look right was right because Allah had them on that assignment. So whenever you become that of a person that has the rank of an angel, you become sin-free. Now maybe that don't mean nothing to nobody, but hey,
Right.
that'd be a good thing to be. So that hopefully that helps out with the question of the activation of young people. You all are doing it. You all are doing it, and you can be conscious and not corny.
That's right. I know it.
Yeah, you are. You are. And the thing is you have to boast in the Lord. You have to take pride in virtue,
Right.
discipline,
Right.
wisdom. The same way niggas take pride in foolishness.
Come on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
As simple as that.
Repeat. Rewind.
And if you are when you brothers and sisters, you gotta be a righteous gang.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we ride or die on your behind.
Right. Come on.
Sir. And there ain't no fair fights among no Muslims.
That's right.
You know, they clear it out. You know, let everybody go one-on-one. Ain't no one-on-one fight.
Right.
You offend one of us, you offend us all.
That's right.
And when we hear somebody say Allahu Akbar,
It's over.
we don't come to investigate,
Go ahead.
to deliberate, or negotiate. We come to get in where we fit in.
That's right.
And whoever, even if you winning, I'm still jumping in. And if you show up and you don't get a piece of whoever they fighting with, then when we get back to where we going, we gonna get a piece of you.
Come on.
Go ahead.
But so I'm saying that to say that's how you operate. You operate with the same kind of swag, if you will, but you have the same pride in virtue and discipline because you've accomplished something. If you can keep your virginity in a sick, wicked world like this, you've accomplished something if you can be disciplined when everybody else is off the hook. So you should take pride in that.
Yes, sir.
I got wisdom, virtue. I ain't got to show my behind.
That's right.
I don't dress like that. I ain't following the masses.
And adding on, Brother Nuri, also, it is key at a time that we're living in right now for the youth to actually begin to study and actually further their information and knowledge so we can have a word to say. We can't just wait for it to fall in my lap. No, I have to actually go and get it so we can actually give the word out to the people.
That's right.
Go ahead.
But I would say that, one of the questions that I get the most on social media is good questions about what are some good study habits. And there's a verse in the Holy Quran that says that surely the recital of the Quran at dawn is recorded. So the best and most effective time for you to download new knowledge is right there after prayer in the morning. The scientists have even found that the first 20 minutes of your day, your brain is operating on around 12 to 20 hertz, which means that the subconscious mind is most impressionable. All they're doing is bear witness to what Allah said in the Quran. You'll find that, Brother Basim, to study 20 minutes right at dawn will be more effective than studying 2 hours in the middle of the day. You'll retain more information at that time. So that's kind of like a brain hack. It's a secret little formula. If you really want to speed up the process of absorption of knowledge, that you won't just know it, but you'll own it, get it right there early in the morning. And then, second, as you move through the day, whatever you study in the morning, when you have downtime, quiz yourself. And when you know you're going to quiz yourself, you automatically paying more attention when you study. Because you know you're going to quiz yourself, and if you don't remember it, you know you got to go back and find it.
Yes, sir.
And then sometime you'll do good on all the stuff you learned that morning. Then what did you learn yesterday? And if you start playing these kind of mental challenge games with yourself by studying and quizzing yourself consistently, then you'll always have some news that people can use. Whenever you have, a need to go to your arsenal to shoot some encouragement and some confidence and some wisdom as your brothers and sisters.
Yes, sir.
So that's a very good point.
Brother Nuri,
Yes, sir.
to bring it all the way home, on social media, there's been a campaign of the believers with a sense of urgency to get the messenger of God, which is Minister Farrakhan in our midst, his message out to our people. Can you just summarize how relevant the time and what must be done in the way of the initiative of the minister? We know he's at his 40-year mark. Can you explain this to us as believers and to those that want to understand what initiative we on right now in the way of the time we living in?
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to say that, and he's written it in several of his books, he said all of the prophets, when they look at this time, they wish they could have lived during this time. We are living in what is called the fullness of time. You keep in mind that the devil was made to rule for 6,000 years. So anything from 1914 all the way back to Adam, no matter what messenger or prophet worked, they only could be a limited of effectiveness because they was under the rule of the devil. You couldn't break his power. But after 1914, the white man's power has expired. It's over for him. It's our time now. So when you understand that it's our time and we're in the fullness of time and everything we do of good is going to get its exact measure, then we should be excited to do as much of that good as possible. And our job is to put Farrakhan in our people.
Yes, sir.
We have to put really specifically young people. We got to put Farrakhan in young people.
Yes, sir.
And the way you do it is by clips. The way you do it is by sharing the messages. Now we'll put a disclaimer on this now. Any message to the black man's fall of America, our Savior has arrived, eat to live. Any video, any VHS, if you have them, I don't know you got none of that. Any DVDs, CDs, MP, anything you loan anybody, you're not getting it back. I haven't figured it out, but people always steal the truth. Come on, brother Basim, you probably done loaned out at least 12 messages to black man already have it.
Yes, sir.
Ain't got them back yet.
Not at all.
You're not getting it back. People steal the truth. But that's the way. So you give them the material. You give it to them. Those clips the clips that people are making from YouTube, those clips on social media, those are good. Because those are like appetizers to make you want to hear the rest of the message of the minister.
Yes, sir.
And in doing that, and then sparking conversation with it, then we're getting that message to them.
And bringing it back, bringing it back around to the minister and his importance. When I talk to my friends about like him and showing him videos and clips of him, they're like, how do we know that this is the truth though? Like I go to church and they telling me the truth. I go to my mom, she's telling me the truth. How do I know that just because he's bold and he's talking like this, how do I know that that's the truth? So how can you explain to them that what the minister is saying is the absolute truth and it's no doubt what he's saying?
Well, the Quran says it like this. Truth is the creative force of everything and falsehood originates nothing. So anytime you're telling me what Reverend Porkchop or Bishop Hogmaw has taught you, that's the white man's religion. This is a slave-making religion that is designed to make our people happy about being handicapped and comfortable with misery and suffering. it has always been organized mental drug, more effective than weed, more effective than pills, more effective than heroin. Ain't no drug on the market that has done more psychological damage than the white man's Christianity. So you can't come with the regurgitation of the slave master's teaching and compare that to revelation.
Right.
Revelation and speculation are not the same thing. What the minister offers is revelation. What they offer is speculation. How do you know?
In a deception. They make you feel like.
Well, you judge a tree by the fruit it bears and a man by his works.
Right.
See, we the Nation of Islam is a business.
That's right. Yes, sir.
It ain't in the business of selling papers.
Right.
We're in the people business.
Yes.
And our product that we market is transformation of human life.
That's right.
And when the math is in, there is no male or female that is a part of any particular religious order that has a higher transformation rate than those that follow the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
So we have our own before and after. We have our own case studies that we can show our people that look, this is what we produce. So that kind of should help them to want to know. And I always tell people, look, here's how they eat to live.
Right.
This is the code. These are the meeting schedules. This is the way we see things. This is the way we talk. This is the way we dress. This is the way we act. Try it out for 30 days. Money back guarantee. And I guarantee you that if you try out the way of being a Muslim, even without commitment, it's going to be the best 30 days you ever live. So, you know, see if they'll try out. There's no side effects.
Brother Nuri, I have a question. We have, in today's time, we have a lot of diverse circles that we are in because the minister's instruction for us to get up, get out, and get our people. And sometimes, unintentionally, we may come off as arrogant and not humble. And sometimes that will turn our people away. And it even actually happens among the youth. How can you address that and maybe give some practical things? Specifically, how can our young people who are members of the Nation of Islam, followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in their expression of their love and commitment to the mission, not become arrogant? How can they express the things that are similar between us as people versus emphasizing the things that the enemy tries to say are differences?
Beautiful. Well, this is humility is not thinking less of yourself. Humility is thinking of yourself less. So the formula, when you're thinking of yourself less, if I'm a part of a group, when you're thinking of yourself less, not thinking less of yourself, then your aim is not to win points. Your aim is to win people. It's better to lose the point in a conversation, debate, argument, and win the person than to win your point and lose a person. So when you operate with that mentality, that I'm not here, my humility is not thinking less of myself, but I'm just thinking of myself less. I'm thinking about what's good for the whole. And you have to be patient. You know, we have in our mind, we want to make microwave Muslims. You know, just add water, instant Islam. It's not going to happen. So we expect that if we say and do something, because we know where we got it from, and we know we believe in where we got it from, wait a minute, you going to tell me you ain't going to do what? Not to me. Elijah Muhammad said you. So that's the,
right.
So you have to be patient and know that we have to gradually grow our people step by step whenever we are around them.
Right.
And when you're a part of something, you're not the dictator. You're not the authority. You offer suggestions, you offer ideas, and you offer evidence to support your ideas. And then you hope that people buy into the idea to participate. And I would say to us that one of our big problems as a people, that if we are part of something and there's 100 things presented, and it's black people that presented it, and if I agree with 99, but there's one thing I don't agree with, we walk away from the whole group.
Right.
But white people don't like that. If 100 things are presented to white people, and they're part of a group, if they agree with only one of them, they'll stay and work on that one. So we have to try to have the patience to gradually do it. And just remember, being humble is not thinking of less of yourself, it's just thinking of yourself less. You're not making yourself the center. And when you operate like that, you'll find that you can use influence and suggestions, and you don't have to dictate or give orders. Just make requests and suggestions, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and it'll gradually go where you're trying to get it to go.
Praise be to Allah. That is a wonderful place for us to prepare to close it down. We're going to turn it over to our awesome co-hosts to just remind us who they are. But again, we want you to support the Perspective Network. You can check us out at www.theperspectivenetwork.com. Of course, this program is produced and directed by Project Y.O.U. under the direction of Mighty CJ, the DJ. He's on the camera. He's doing it all today. Can you clap it up for Brother? I want to personally thank all of the young people who traveled all the way to Chicago. Can you get a clap for yourself? Brother Nuri, we are so honored and privileged. We thank you for taking time out of what we know is your extremely busy schedule. So, if you all could take it away, and we're going to close it out.
Once again, Brother Nuri, we'd like to thank you for coming out today and actually speaking with us and allowing us to interview you. Once again, I'm Brother Basim Muhammad. I'm so grateful to be here with you all today.
I'm Sister Kenya Muhammad. I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank you.
And I'm glad everybody, I hope everybody got something out of this. I know I did.
I'm Brother Malachi, and I enjoyed dialoguing with you today.
Thank you, sir.
We hope you'll come back.
Yes, we hope so.
Thank you. I can't wait.
Good job.
Well, brothers and sisters, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And this made my day just to see you all. I wish I could stay for a couple more hours. But I'm supposed to be on the air right now.
Brother Nuri, if you could just give us a quick scenario about tomorrow. I know you be doing the message tomorrow at the mosque.
Oh, y'all gotta come. Come out tomorrow. The subject is titled Think and Grow Rich, Fit, Powerful, and Productive.
Okay.
So, I think it's gonna be a good one. And if you don't live here, we are gonna go Facebook Live.
Awesome.
Tomorrow, if you'd like to check it out. All right, thank y'all so much.
The last thing that we must do is thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We would not know that love equals duty if it were not for our beloved minister. Today's topic was why God and the people all over the world love Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. We hope to see you soon again. Peace.